Imagine this, you're in front of an audience, a really big audience, composed of 1,000 people. You're ready to give your speech. How will it go? Well, the reality is you probably had somebody introduce you. In this case, this person could either set you up for success or for failure. We are here to talk about 3 ways that you can set your guest speaker up for success. The first point is by credibility and uniqueness. The second point is by visual aids and humor. The third point is by giving a strong conclusion to your introduction. I will now be turning it over to
Credibility is a big thing to give to your guest speaker when introducing him or her to the audience. You want your audience to know the credibility that your speaker has, whether it be from personal experience or being a professional at what he or she is giving a speech about. If you do not give proper credibility, your audience may not care to listen to what it is that the guest has to say, thinking that they don't possibly know what they're talking about. You also want to make your audience feel as the guest coming to give the speech is very important and unique, so that whenever the guest is giving the speech, it's more intriguing to the audience, so they feel as though he or she went out of his or her way to give the speech to the audience.
Two notable techniques that I noticed when looking up the information on the introduction speech is visual aids and the use of humor when you make a mistake. Visual aids like this would be good if you were going to introduce somebody that's, say, a magician. Or a visual aid like this is better for somebody that you're going to introduce, like, say, a politician. So a visual aid in the beginning to introduce your speaker is going to help set the tone for the audience when the speaker comes out, and it almost helps to set an expectation as well. Secondly was the use of humor. The easiest way that I noticed people were doing was to create a connection between the person introducing the speaker and the speaker by using humor. And if you can use humor even when you make mistakes, it keeps the flow of the presentation or the speech or the introduction, it keeps the flow going, which helps to maintain your connection you have with your audience and can even help to strengthen the connection that you have with the speaker that's coming.
In our group project for an introduction speech for another speaker, in our research, we found that you want to have a good, strong conclusion to that introduction speech. For example, you would say, "Join me in welcoming Billy Bob," who's a good role club. That gets the whole audience going, and also gets a nice, warm welcome to the speaker. And then as the speaker enters the stage, you want to give them a good, strong handshake. And that shows a nice human connection between the person who did the introduction and the actual person doing the presentation. And that's important. That way you don't have a segmented introduction of the speaker and then the speaker. They're two different kind of entities. This kind of smooths them together, blends them well, and also does show that actual human connection between the two.
For introduction to speech, we have covered 3 main points, them being the first one, making your guest speaker credible and unique. Remember, it is not about you, it is about them. Secondly, visual aids and humor. If you mess up, cover it up with humor. It can be tricky, but it can be done. Lastly, ending with a strong conclusion. Like any piece of writing, you want to end with a strong conclusion and leave them off with knowing this was a great speech. And it was remarkable that the person that introduced them set the stage up correctly for them. Now back to my introduction, where I had you picture being in front of an audience, 1,000 people, ready to give a speech. Picture yourself nervous. You're ready to run off the stage. You don't want to be there. However, if the person that introduced you set you up for success, it will make it easier for you to be able and go out there, feel pumped up, and actually get the speech out to your audience. Unfortunately, if you're set up for failure, you will most likely not be able to give an effective speech if you follow through. Make sure that if you ever introduce anybody, you are ready, prepared, both mentally and physically. And please, don't set anybody up for failure.